Part 74. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 731. Chapter 731. The mobile phone was stolen. Thinking of a surprise, Ye Wei asked Gong Qinli to go shopping and buy clothes. It's just that she didn't expect that as soon as she went out, she would see Mrs. Ye and Mosi sitting together. This is a business district, where various businesses are intertwined. She was shopping around for clothing and jewelry stores with Gong Qinli, but she didn't expect to bump into Madame Ye when she passed by a tea house. The person sitting face to face with Madame Ye was Mosi. These two people must be discussing things about Yezikin when they are sitting together. Glancing at Gong Qinli next to him, Ye Wei thought of a way to get her away. Li Yulai, you go inside to pick out clothes first. I feel a little uncomfortable in my stomach, so I need to go to the bathroom first. At the beginning, Gong Qinli didn't react yet. The focus was on what she said about feeling uncomfortable. Are you feeling uncomfortable? What's wrong? Oh, I'm just going to the bathroom. Ye Wei winked at her. I understand. Gong Qinli nodded immediately, gave her an okay gesture, turned around and went upstairs to continue picking out clothes. Ye Wei took the opportunity to run to the opposite side of the tea house, found a seat, and quietly moved towards Mosi. There is only one reason why Madame Ye made an appointment with Mosi today, Yezikin. We had clearly agreed to keep this secret forever, so why did Mo show up? Mrs. Ye still refused Yezikin to recognize her as a relative. Mrs. Ye reminded Mosi very confidently and proudly, my son is living a good life now. I don't want anyone to show up and randomly identify his relatives. Mosi is calm and does not easily show his emotions. He did not leak the secret intentionally, but Mo accidentally discovered it. But Mosi would not explain this kind of thing. On the contrary, he recognized the situation clearly and did not hide it deliberately. He only said, paper cannot contain the fire. Since his life experience has been discovered by the Mahist family, the Mahist family will definitely not leave him out. Kamosi's statement sounded to Madame Ye on purpose. What does it mean to be homeless? My son's identity is clear, but you should not come to disturb the situation. The conversation volume between Madame Ye and Mosi was kept at a certain level. It sounded like normal chatting, but in fact, Madame Ye's every word was filled with anger. Even though Ye Wei couldn't hear what they said specifically, he guessed that they were struggling with Yezikin's identity. Shaking his head, Ye Wei put down the tea money and left the tea house. Unknown to her, at the moment she walked out of the tea house, a delicate figure walked out of the corner of the tea house. The man hidden in the dark stared at the back of Ye Wei as he left, his eyes fierce. Ye Wei returned to the shopping mall, and Gong Qinli happened to come down from upstairs. Ye Wei asked her, did you pick one you like? Gong Qinli shook her head, no, let's look at another place. Just as they were walking out of the mall, a man in a hurry next to them bumped into Ye Wei's shoulder. I'm sorry, the man apologized in a low voice. Ye Wei squeezed her arm. Gong Qinli saw her action and was a little worried. Does it hurt? It's okay, Ye Wei smiled as he shook his head. But the next second, her expression changed suddenly. My mobile phone is missing, that person just now. At this point, the two of them suddenly thought that the deliberate behavior just now must be a thief. The two looked at each other, nodded in agreement, and chased the thief in the direction where he had fled. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 732. Chapter 732. The Flower of the Police Academy. What is the value of Ye's only force? He studied under the tutelage of a nationally famous Taekwondo master. How high is Gong Qinli's military strength? The skills you have developed after attending the police academy for 3 years are not just for boasting. The two of them attacked at the same time, so there was no room for the thief to escape. Two beautiful figures passed through the crowd, moved flexibly in the crowd, and caught up with the thief while attacking from both sides. The thief just looked back for a moment before he was kicked away by an oncoming kick and fell heavily to the ground. The thief cried out in pain as he covered his leg, and quickly got up to continue running away. Ye Wei jumped forward and took a big step, quickly turned around and hugged the thief. When the thief wanted to escape from the side, Ye Wei quickly took action, accurately grabbing his arm and twisting him back. Ouch! The thief immediately screamed in pain and even dropped his cell phone on the ground. I was wrong, please let me go. The thief's expression and tone were as exaggerated as shouting, "Woman, spare your life." Ye Wei shook off the thief, calmly picked up the phone and wiped it with paper. She didn't fight or yell, but this series of actions caught the eyes of the onlookers, and she was so handsome that it was hard to believe. When the thief wanted to sneak away in the chaos, Gong Qinli would not let him go so easily. He raised his fist and hit the thief several times, until he, a grown man, wanted to cry. Gong Qinli did not strike randomly, but hit every part of the human body in a beneficial and painful way. It can be said that the two of them have a very tacit understanding of each other. You dare to steal a cell phone in front of me, and you won't even ask me which school I'm from. Gong Qinli stood up like a big sister, full of fighting spirit and fierceness. The thief really timidly asked, "Which school are you from?" "I am the beauty of the police academy. You are very unlucky to meet me today." Gong Qinli is a student at the police academy, and she hates sneaky things. Fortunately, she and Ye were the only targets today. If other helpless people encountered the thief, they would probably suffer a big loss. So, no matter how much the thief begged for mercy, Gong Qinli still sent him to the Bureau for Rehabilitation. The police in that business district were very grateful to the two of them and even gave them a banner saying, "Be brave for justice." Ye Wei and Gong Qinli accepted the banner in confusion, and they still couldn't figure out why they were so popular after they caught a thief. The police here slowly explained the key points. Recently, many people in the business district have come to the police to complain. Unfortunately, the thief is too cunning. Every time we receive the news and rush over, the thief has already slipped away through the crowd. So every time you rush there, you will miss it. It's a pity that the thief was unlucky this time, and he was caught on the spot when he encountered two people with incredible strength. I see. After learning more of the truth behind it, Gong Qinli rarely gave the thief a few more kicks at that time. With a smile on his face, Ye Wei handed the banner of bravery to Gong Qinli and said, "Well, this honor will be given to our future female police officer, keep it well." "Thank you only." Ye Wei held the banner in vain, but for Gong Qinli, this was simply a recognition of her ability. Her major, she likes it very much. Now that the thief has been caught and the order of the business district has been maintained, I am really happy. The only thing is that we will go back and continue to pick out clothes for you. Gong Qinli pulled Ye Wei out of the police station. Ye Wei couldn't help but look back, then suddenly turned around, looking left and right as if he was looking for someone. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 733. Chapter 733. Beautiful and charming. I always feel like someone is looking at me not far away, but there is nothing there. Hey, it's already dark today. Don't sound so scary. I'm a coward and I can't help but be scared. I didn't mean to scare you, I just felt someone was nearby. Ye Wei stood in place and walked around twice. After looking around twice, he found nothing special. The same is true for Gong Qinli. There was no one around. Gong Qinli waved his hand in front of her eyes and said, "There are people everywhere around here." You are too worried. I always felt that something was wrong, but there was no evidence. Gong Qinli pushed her arm and pulled her away. Only, let's leave quickly. We haven't found anything we like yet. Well, let's go. The two of them returned to the mall, this time seriously choosing clothes. It turns out that Gong Qinli, who has always liked simple clothes, has no research on skirts, but she has eyes and knows how to appreciate beauty. Why do girls like to ask people to go shopping together? Of course it's not because a person is scared or bored, but because they are very picky when buying things and will raise various questions such as, is this thing suitable for me? So when you go shopping to buy clothes, it is really important to have a friend beside you to help keep an eye on it and comment on whether it looks good or not. Only listen to Gong Qinli's words. Apart from plain white and some very light colors, Gong Qinli said that she wanted her to dress in a way that would make people's eyes shine, so she chose a bright colored skirt and 9 cm high heels. I looked at the bright red short skirt and high heels, feeling a little embarrassed. I'm going to watch shooting stars, and I'm wearing a skirt and high heels. Gong Qinli once again instilled in her the concept of dating. The only thing you have to remember is that no matter what you and brother Chen do together, it is the time you two spend together. You have to remember that your main purpose is to date, instead of playing. After finishing the indoctrination, he asked Ye Weiwei again, on the day of the date, just make sure you look stunning, okay? Okay. Ye Weiwei nodded heavily, indicating that he had deeply understood the meaning. Gong Qinli nodded with satisfaction, her eyes praising, children can be taught. But on the other side, Gong Qinli was laughing quietly again. Wearing such high heels is fine for walking, but it would be so tiring to climb up to a high place to see the shooting stars. Wouldn't it be nice for the princess to hug you then? She is so witty. You can completely change your career and become a love guru to give advice to people in love. Ye Weiwei is indeed very smart. When she is asked to handle things or do anything else, she will do so carefully and step by step. But she was always on guard against Gong Qinli, and she encountered emotional matters. Her emotional intelligence was cut in half, and her IQ was useless. However, when he saw Gong Qinli laughing secretly, Ye Weiwei smiled helplessly. Do you really think she is so easy to fool? It's just that I believe what Gong Qinli said makes sense every time. Lu Li, if you use the intelligence you gave me to give me advice on yourself, you won't be single anymore. I think so too, but brother Chen is devoted to you, and Drgu doesn't care about me. Even if I dress up and stand in front of him, he won't show an extra smile, he muttered again. Yeah. He won't hug me when I'm tired. Ye Weiwei took the opportunity to interject, Gu Chenxi can't do it, but there is one person who will definitely do it. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 734. Chapter 734 needs to be arranged clearly. Who is it? You can't hold me. Stop pretending to be confused. I'm talking about Brother Nangong. Look at my eyes seriously and answer, do you really not like Brother Nangong? Why are we talking about this topic again? Didn't I make it very clear? We are friends. Every time this topic comes up, Gong Qinli avoids it. Ye Weiwei sighed, if you really don't like it, I won't mention it in the future. Gong Qinli raised his arm and put his arm around her shoulders, and winked at her. Yes, if you want to mention it, you can tell me more about Drgu. Ye Weiwei shook his head with a hum and refused with great disgust, don't talk about him, he is always going against me. Gong Qinli clicked her tongue and immediately promised her some nonsensical words. Okay, when this young lady melts the iceberg with her personal charm one day, I will ask him to apologize to you. How about that? You are enough of a friend. Hearing such coaxing remarks, Ye Weiwei couldn't help but laugh. However, she still looked directly into Gong Qinli's eyes and said seriously, I hope you can get what you want. Although she doesn't really want Gong Kinli to be with Gu Jinsi in her heart, if Gong Kinli really likes her, then she also wishes her friend happiness. Let's go on, let's continue, we must kill everyone tonight. Good. Gong Kinli took Ye Wei and ran towards the largest clothing mall. The two of them were very happy shopping. The third day she was looking forward to finally arrived. Fortunately, Yezikin told her that she could take care of the company's affairs before noon today, and then the entire afternoon and evening would be at her disposal. In fact, Yezikin's secretary's head is getting bigger. Mr. Chen, Mr. Wang from the building materials company would like to invite you to dinner tonight. But Yezikin decided without hesitation, postpone. The secretary counted it down and found that 3 projects had been rejected this morning. Now a big customer has come to visit. The secretary had to emphasize, that is a big customer that we just signed a contract with recently. I said postpone. Yezikin raised her eyes and glanced at him. The secretary swallowed back the words she shouldn't have said, holding the folder in her hand with a formulaic expression, okay, I'll make arrangements right away. To put it bluntly, let's go and send away Mr. Wang from some building materials company. With a little time to breathe, Secretary Zhao and his assistant stood outside the bathroom and smoked a cigarette. Exhaling a puff of smoke, Secretary Zhao muttered a few words casually, our boss has turned down all the businesses, big and small, today. What do you think the boss is going to do? I thought the assistant would agree, but the assistant said 2 words decisively, a date. Secretary Zhao suddenly became energetic, how do you know? The assistant answered honestly, the boss asked me to go to the flower shop to order flowers when he came this morning. He said that I would need them in the evening and that they must be kept fresh. After saying that, the assistant leaned towards Secretary Zhao as if he were a thief, covering his lower cheek with one hand, and whispered in Secretary Zhao's ear, besides, there are still roses. Secretary Zhao trembled all over. The boss wants to go on a date, but he still tried hard to persuade him to go to work today. Aren't you asking for trouble? Their boss is good at everything except being boring. I keep all my plans and arrangements in my heart, and I might step on a landmine if I'm not careful. Where is the flower shop you mentioned? I'll go get the flowers myself. Let's look at the title. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 735. Chapter 735 Doting on First Love. Secretary Zhao happily got 99 pink roses from the flower shop and was about to take a taxi to deliver them to Yezikin when a figure suddenly ran by and knocked the roses in his hand to the ground. Ouch, who's walking? Before Secretary Zhao could curse, he turned around and saw that there were still people on the left and right. Secretary Zhao subconsciously thought it was a thief and quickly touched his pocket. Nothing was missing. He breathed a sigh of relief and suddenly felt something was wrong. He raised his hands and was stunned. Then he looked down at the ground and saw that many pink roses had been destroyed. Oh my God! Secretary Zhao quickly picked up the bouquet of flowers, with an exaggerated expression on his face and his teeth chattering. The assistant called to care about whether he got the flowers. Secretary Zhao had no choice but to admit, I've got it, I'll deliver it later. The assistant did not have any doubts and was still waiting for the good news from Secretary Zhao. Secretary Zhao hurriedly walked back and asked the shopkeeper. He found that all the fresh pink roses left today had been bought. Don't you have any extra flowers? Are you not prepared for this emergency? Guest, please be patient. These 99 pink roses were ordered this morning. There will indeed be spare flowers to replace before they are picked up. However, you have already picked them up before, so there is no need for us to keep today's inventory. Listen to a few explanations from those people. In short, this flower shop cannot buy pink roses. Secretary Zhao did not dare to stay here and spend more time. He quickly searched for the nearest flower shop and asked one by one, but there were no pink roses. Things were such a coincidence that dense beads of sweat broke out on Secretary Zhao's forehead. How could such an unfortunate thing happen to him? The assistant waited and waited but still didn't see Secretary Zhao, so she couldn't help but panicked. Secretary Zhao, I promised you a chance to show off before you can bring the flowers back in person and we can respond to the order together. Why haven't you come back after so long? We will send them to Mr. Chen soon. Does Chen always specify pink roses? That's right, I told you that it should be pink. When Secretary Zhao heard this, he felt like he was beyond love. Their boss only hires people based on whether they are valuable and capable. Now he can't even do things like send flowers, and he is afraid that he will really pack up and leave. After Yezikin walked out of here, who among the big family businesses in S City would dare to want him? Secretary Zhao remembers running around in circles. I hurriedly took out my mobile phone and searched for the meaning of roses. Pink roses represent pampering and first love. Red roses represent passionate love. Calm down, hypnotize yourself and try to calm down the emotional fluctuations in your heart. Secretary Zhao has a sudden plan. He rushed back to the flower shop and asked the flower shop owner to redistribute 20 red roses among the pink roses. 20 pink roses represent mutual love. This time Secretary Zhao came out of the publishing house and carefully observed the surroundings and protected the flowers. A delicate figure stood on the opposite road, his eyes fell on the redecorated bouquet of flowers in Secretary Zhao's hand, his eyes fierce. The problem was finally solved. Secretary Zhao met with the assistant and sent the flowers to the designated location. Mr. Chen, the flower shop owner said that this combination is more innovative. Miss Jiao will be very surprised if she receives the flowers from you. Yezikin looked at this bouquet of red and pink flowers, and it was rare that he didn't find fault with Secretary Zhao's ability to make decisions. Well done, the bonus will be doubled this month. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen is wise. I wish Mr. Chen and Miss Jiao a smooth and sweet date. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 736. Chapter 736. Are you allergic to roses? Oh, sweet joy! Not far away, the slender figure was hiding behind a big tree, secretly cursing, I want you to go to hell. Just when they thought happiness was coming, danger was approaching too. Mr. Chen, we won't waste your personal time. Miss Jiao is still waiting for you. Secretary Zhao has discovered before that if you praise Yezikin's ability, he won't take it. But if you wish Yezikin and his girlfriend Xiaoling, no matter how common and sweet it is, he likes to hear it. Secretary Zhao's wonderful eloquent performance left the assistant stunned. While the assistant was in a daze, Secretary Zhao pulled him away and hurried away. Secretary Zhao, you are so awesome, you dare to change pink roses into red roses without getting scolded. Tisk, this is called intelligence, you can learn from it in the future. Yes, 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 I will follow Secretary Zhao and learn from you. The assistant is so knowledgeable, which also makes Secretary Zhao happy. Secretary Zhao waved his hand and took the assistant directly to eat delicious food. Let's go, Lao Zhao, are happy today and I want to treat you to dinner. Thank you, Secretary Zhao. Secretary Zhao and his assistant were praised by the boss and happily decided to go out to a hot pot restaurant to have a meal together. But as soon as he reached the door of the hot pot restaurant, Secretary Zhao felt that his hands started to itch. At first he didn't pay attention and still lit the hot pot with his assistant. Let me tell you, our boss doesn't show his emotions when he speaks and does things. It's hard to guess what he wants. However, I know his weakness, and that is. Who? Tisk, of course it's Miss Jiao. As the saying goes, A hero cannot escape beauty. It seems that our wise and wise Mr. Chen cannot escape this fate. That's not the case. Secretary Zhao smiled, picked up the wine glass and stretched out his hand. However, the next second, both he and the assistant's eyes widened in surprise. At some point, red spots began to appear on his palms and wrists. What's going on? Secretary Zhao's heartbeat quickened and he pointed at the hot pot with red soup and said, "Is there something wrong with this hot pot?" "But I'm doing well." The assistant stretched out her hand to show him, it was still white and tender. "Secretary Zhao, did you touch something dirty?" "I only touched the 99 roses this afternoon." "Are you allergic to roses?" "I really don't know this." The two of them exchanged a few tangled words, and Secretary Zhao's hands gradually began to itch. The two of them hurriedly checked out and rushed to the hospital. The dermatologist checked and said it looked like an allergy. After Secretary Zhao left the hospital, he began to lose his previous excitement. "I'm so unlucky. I was scared to death because of that bouquet of flowers, and I ended up allergic to it." "Secretary Zhao, you have to be careful in the future. If you have to send flowers again, leave it to me." "You're smart enough. Okay, for the sake of our fate, I'll teach you well in the future." "Thank you, Secretary Zhao." After hearing what the doctor said, Secretary Zhao really thought that she was allergic to roses. She kept it in mind and applied the medicine on her hands according to the doctor's prescription, which gradually relieved the itching. Since he is allergic, it is not a problem with the roses there. "I think it is safe to come to the boss's place." That night Zikin didn't hold the flowers in his hands after he got them. He drove to the apartment to pick someone up. When he saw the well-groomed Yewei walking out of the apartment, he raised the corners of his mouth and took out the roses in the car and gave them to her. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 737. Chapter 737 Doting on each other. Wow, what a beautiful rose. Yewei happily accepted it, lowered her head and smelled the flowers. The fragrance of roses was refreshing. "Like it very much?" Yezikin asked. Yewei expressed his feelings without any shyness. "Of course, these are the roses sent by my brother, I definitely like them." Speaking so well makes the obedient people very happy. Yezikin raised his head and pinched her nose gently, his gentle voice was like a gentle breeze. He said, "As long as you like it. When you go out on a date, first give your girlfriend a bouquet of flowers. This will make her feel happy for a while, and things will be easier to handle later on." But this time it was Yewei who said she wanted to surprise Yezikin. She took the initiative to drive and wanted to reach the destination within an hour before the meteor budget time arrived. Since I was driving alone at night, the bouquet of flowers was placed next to me. There is a magical place in S City called Stargazing Cliff, which is actually a nice name given to a high place. But this high place is different from others. It is said that Stargazing Cliff is recognized as the most beautiful place to enjoy the night view. Because there is a large flat grassland on top of the Stargazing Cliff, where you can see the night sky that you can't usually see. The stars at night are particularly bright. When he got out of the car and saw such a scene, Yezikin already knew his only purpose. But in order to make his lovely girlfriend have more expectations, he pretended to be mysterious and unaware. He also deliberately asked Yewei, "Why did you bring me here?" "Humph, I won't tell you yet. You are an idiot who only knows how to make money. You don't pay attention to any news." Yewei often advised him to combine work and rest, but Yezikin always devoted 70% to 80% of his energy in developing the group. Career. Since he asked, Yewei really believed that he would not pay attention to such boring news. Yewei held Yezikin's hand and the two of them walked uphill together. In the end, Yewei did not wear the 9-centimeter high heels that Gongkin Li chose for her that day. After all, it was really uncomfortable to wear such high shoes when walking up from here. She also knew that Yezikin was really strong enough to carry her up from here, but she was unwilling to let the person she liked suffer like that. Because it is not called sweetness, but it is deliberately tormenting people. True love is when two people are happy with each other, so true love also requires two people to love each other. The latest news posted on Weibo is, the meteor will appear at around 8:15 p.m. Yezi calculated the time correctly, and they arrived at their destination at 7:30 in the evening. The vast plains make people feel that they have a wide field of vision at first sight, which is simply novel. Brother, this place is so spacious and gives people a different feeling. Ye Wei came to this place for the first time, and everything here was full of strangeness. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Ye Wei stretched out his palm like a magic trick, and there was a red string in his palm. This is the red string, she explained, putting the two ends of the red string on her index finger and Yezikin's index finger respectively. She pursed her lips and smiled, and a beam of light suddenly flashed in the sky. The meteor is coming, hurry up, make a wish quickly. After Yahweh urged Yezikin, he closed his eyes and muttered many wishes silently. When he opened his eyes again, in addition to the shining stars in the sky, there were also wishing shooting stars. At this moment, I suddenly felt something tugging at the corner of my clothes, pulling and pulling. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 738. Chapter 738. You are God's little angel. Looking back, I saw a little girl about 3 or 4 years old holding a book in her hands and looking up at her. Are you the fairy in the book? The innocent child looked at Ye Wei and asked this sentence. Ye Wei was moved by her lovely words. He knelt down like her and spoke in a voice as gentle as if he could drown in water. Why do you ask like that? Even though she was only a 3 or 4-year-old child, Ye Wei believed that she could hear it. The little girl really understood what Ye Wei meant. The little girl opened the book she was holding in front of Ye Wei. There was an illustration on the page, which showed a girl clasping her hands in front of her chest in a praying posture. The content above is that the fairy is praying. It is probably because she made a wish just now in the same posture, so the little girl thought she was a fairy coming out of the flower. Children, my sister is not a fairy. Then what is sister? This question really stumped her. Before she could form words to introduce herself, a woman hurriedly came over and took the little girl's hand. At this time, no one spoke first, but the little girl stood among them and shouted excitedly, "Mom, I just saw the fairy sister praying. Mom, I saw the fairy sister praying. Mom, I saw the fairy sister praying." Speaking important things 3 times, the little girl's innocent appearance made everyone laugh. The little girl insisted on asking what is the only thing in the night? Ask yourself what it is again. The girl's mother just saw that her child was safe and did not stop her from talking to Ye Wei. Ye Wei thought about it and told her, "Sister is not a little fairy, but as cute as you are, she must be a little angel sent down to earth by God." Little girls love fairy tales. At this innocent and wonderful age, these words do not mean deceiving, but let the children have a very pure heart. Appearance is justice. Ye Wei is so good looking that even children like her. But the child's mother was also a smart woman. She knew that a boyfriend and girlfriend were dating here, and she took the child's hand and left after a while. Ye Wei moved his fingers, and then he realized that his fingers and Yezikin's were still intertwined. Standed up and turned around, catching Yezikin's eyes. It should be said that when she was communicating with the children just now, Yezikin kept staring at her. You like children very much, Yezikin asked a sensitive topic. Ye Wei didn't think too much. She said what she thought sincerely, the child is so cute, of course I like it. If I can have a lovely daughter in the future, I feel that my life will be complete. Oh, are you implying that I should marry you home earlier and have a daughter? What, you are trying to trick me and make fun of me? A date between two people does not need to be grand, but as long as they are connected in spirit, they can appreciate the beauty of it. The little girl holding a book followed her mother around the stargazing cliff. When she walked down the slope, she saw a man in black clothes standing on the roadside. The little girl pointed at the man and turned around and asked herself. Mom, is that the old witch? Most people know that a little girl won't take her joke seriously, but this man rushed out impatiently, damn kid. What are you talking about? She revealed her voice as soon as she opened her mouth. She was a young woman. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 739. Chapter 739. You are going to crush me. The young woman looked in the direction of Ye Wei and Yezikin, as if she was afraid of exposing something, so she went back. The woman protected her child and apologized, and the child responded in a well-educated manner, I'm sorry. Get out of here, the young woman scolded the child away angrily, and her eyes fell on the two people leaning against each other not far away, becoming more and more vicious. Meteors are fleeting, and beautiful nights are the time for lovers to spend time together. This place is far away from the hustle and bustle of the city center and feels so peaceful. Don't you like the bustling life? Of course I like the bustling life, but I don't know how to relax in such an environment. When I think about what I will face when I go back, I have a headache. Did Mr. Chiao ask you to take over the company? Yeah, Wei nodded, admitting that the biggest worry in his heart came from the Chiao family. Mr. Chiao is very good to her. In the TV series, it is said that he is afraid that his family property will be taken away by outsiders, but Mr. Chiao has always believed in her and wants to cultivate her and Chiao Yu. But Chiao Yu is really not a business material. Yao Wei's major is the same as his job. He is also very smart and can analyze the market situation in a timely manner and make accurate judgments. Such a talent is of course the most suitable successor in Mr. Chiao's mind, not to mention that Ye Wei is the granddaughter of the woman Mr. Chiao likes most in his life. You won't be happy if you do that. But that's my responsibility. The Chiao family is not your responsibility. When you have an extra family relationship, you have to bear the corresponding responsibilities. She longed for that family relationship at the beginning and received sincere treatment from Mr. Chiao. Now she cannot be ungrateful and just let it go. Yezikin raised his hand and gently placed it on her head. A low and soothing voice like the strings of a cello whispered in her ear, I will take on your responsibility. Yezikin. You are an idiot. Dong he curled his fingers slightly, tapped her forehead lightly, and scolded her softly, what nonsense. You are a fool to take all the responsibilities on yourself. You feel sorry for me. Don't I want you to be happy? My happiness is that I hope you are happy. His heart is so small that he can only pretend to be a person. But it was just that one person who had already filled his little heart to the fullest, and that was enough. Ye Wei narrowed his eyes and put his head into Yezikin's arms. She said nothing, a tear is worth 1,000 words. Pinched the red ears with his fingers, he coaxed softly, don't cry. Ye Wei shook her head in his arms, squirming around and not daring to show her face, I didn't cry. I heard it all. No, I didn't cry. Ye Wei firmly denied it, but Yezikin had no choice but to coax her, okay, you're not crying. Don't bury yourself and suffocate yourself. Won't. But, Yezikin stopped talking. Ye Wei was buried in his arms and didn't hear clearly, so he asked casually, what? Feel the man's palm on his shoulder, and his deep voice, you're going to crush me. As soon as these words came out of his mouth, Ye Wei was stunned for 10 seconds before he suddenly understood its meaning. She quickly pushed the person away and covered her face with her hands. This time she was not moved to tears, but her face was as red as blood. She understood her correctly. What she did just now seemed like she was playing tricks on Yezikin, right? I'm too embarrassed to see anyone. Little Belle is acting like a hooligan. It seems that one day a person will appear and say to me, I will bear your responsibility. Invisible flirting is the most deadly. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixie. Chapter 740. Chapter 740, Invisible flirting is the most deadly. Little Belle, go pursue your dream. Yezikin effortlessly took the person out of his arms and looked straight into her eyes. The heart beat uncontrollably, but it was completely different from the shy feeling before. It was as if a hot current was about to emerge from my heart. She opened her mouth, not knowing what to say to express her gratitude. Instead, she foolishly wanted to hear the answer from Yezikin. What is my dream? Yezikin saw hope in her eyes, as well as anxiety and uneasiness. And his responsibility is to get rid of all the uneasiness for her. So he told Ye, such a beautiful voice cannot be let down. The only thing Ye likes is sound, her talent, is music. She has not received professional training, but she often practices her voice according to those instructional videos. She has always felt that no matter how much she likes it, she can only treat it as a hobby. No one has ever been so serious about letting her pursue her true dream. But Yezikin did it. Yezikin is probably the person who understands her best in the world, even better than herself. With such a thoughtful man who treats you tenderly, how can you escape from his position? Anyway, the only thing I can't do is stay awake and rational at night. She now regards Yezikin as her number one male god. She is always the kind of person who gets excited when she sees him, but he is so charming to her. They did not take the cable car when going down from the star observation cliff, but still chose to walk. The two of them held hands quietly for a date, but tonight was truly a rare moment. We walked to a resting place halfway. Ye pulled Yezikin to stand beside it, and Yezikin squatted down. Come up. Yezikin looked at Ye and pointed at his back. This look clearly told her to get on his back. Brother, are you going to carry me on your back? Why not? No need, I'm not tired. Whether you are tired or not, this is your duty as a boyfriend and, welfare. How can you describe such a tiring period of carrying people down the mountain as a welfare? Invisible flirting is the most deadly. Ye struggled with Yezikin for a long time, and finally he lay on Yezikin's back with peace of mind. The two of them walked down slowly, not in any hurry. Ye put her hands around his neck, and her bright pupils were full of joy like a starry river. Brother, do you still remember the first time you carried me on your back? Remember? Wow, I didn't expect that Yezikin would answer remember without hesitation. She felt a little excited and expected, so she chased him for the answer. You still remember, when did you say it was? 5 years old, by the pool, a little guy was acting mischievously. Yezikin told the truth without mercy, which really made Ye blush and still angry. She defended herself unwillingly. I'm not a scumbag, I'm smart. I fell in love with you at first sight. Yezikin smiled and did not refute her words. Of course it's not love at first sight. Children are simple-minded. The meaning of affection and liking when they meet when they are young is of course different from the love at first sight when they grow up. As for the matter of betraying someone for the first time, we have to start with the first time the two met. The first time Yezikin met Yezikin was in the pool of Yes Villa. She was very scared when she accidentally fell into the pool. At that time, Yezikin appeared like a combination of a knight and a prince in a fairy tale. I feel like Brother Chen is teasing people all the time. He is domineering, sinister, cold and gentle. He treats different people with different masks, but only Ye has seen everything about him. End of this chapter.